Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. And today it's time for Talking Albums number 54, and I'm going to be ranking the Iron Maiden live discography from worst to best. Just a disclaimer here off the top, I will not be including any live EPs, so Made in Japan and Live Plus One will not be included here on this list. Also, no compilation albums like the BBC archives, and I'm also not going to be including a real live Dead one, seeing that it's a compilation of 2 live albums here that will be included on the list. So, that being said, there are 12 live albums in total that I'm going to be ranking here, so let's get things started with number 12 on the list. Iron Maiden are the greatest live band of all time, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that there aren't a couple of stinker live albums in their catalog. So, that being said, coming in at number 12 here on the list, I'm going to go with a real live one from 1993, recorded in 1992 on the Fear of the Dark tour. You know, looking at the track listing here, 7 out of the 11 tracks are from either No Prayer for the Dying or Fear of the Dark, which are 2 of my least favorite Iron Maiden albums, and so I'm not too wild about the track listing here. And also, Bruce Dickinson will deny this to the hills, but it's pretty apparent that Bruce was phoning it in at this point, just kind of going through the motions. He was pretty much checked out of Iron Maiden and would leave the band soon after, and just all in all, a pretty uninspired performance here by Dickinson throughout this live album, and sounded less than enthused to be there, in my opinion. Not classic Dickinson. I think that definitely does rub off on the album. It's a pretty underwhelming listen, in my opinion, and like I said, not too wild with the track listing either. So for those reasons, coming in at number 12 on the list, I'm going to go with the real live one from 1993, recorded on the Fear of the Dark tour in 1992. Next at number 11, I'm going to go with the counterpart to a real live one, and that is a real dead one, also released in 1993, recorded on the Fear of the Dark tour and the Real Live tour in 1993, and similarly to a real live one, this album, in my opinion, is pretty lackluster. It's Dickinson just kind of going through the motions, and what makes it stronger, though, than a real live one is the track listing, which has, a number of classic Maiden tracks on here, like Number of the Beast and The Trooper, Transylvania, Prowler, Remember Tomorrow, which is always great with Bruce Dickinson, Where Eagles Dare, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name, etc. And, for those reasons, it's a little bit stronger than a real live one, but both albums altogether are pretty lackluster and underwhelming, in my opinion. Really not from my favorite era of Iron Maiden or anything like that, and I think Bruce being pretty much checked out of the band at this point definitely does affect the excitement level of this live album. Like I said, it's a pretty underwhelming live record, in my opinion, so for that reason, coming in at number 11, I gotta go with the counterpart to a real live one, a real dead one, also released in 1993. Following that up with my number 10 pick, I'm going to go with Live at Donington from 1992, and this is a live album that's just kind of there in the Iron Maiden live catalog, Nothing about it in particular really sticks out to me as special. Looking at the track listing here, it's chock full of material from Fear of the Dark, which is the album they were touring at the time, and also from No Prayer for the Dying. So, again, 2 of my least favorite Iron Maiden albums here, and, the material on those albums are okay, but nothing that really jumps out at me. The track listing is really nothing special. And, Yannick Years had been in the band for a number of years at this point, replacing Adrian Smith, who left the band following the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son tour. But in my opinion, when Adrian Smith left Maiden, there was definitely a big void left during their live concerts. Yannick Years is a very capable and talented guitarist, but he's just not Adrian Smith, and I think the Iron Maiden live sets were definitely missing something without Adrian in the band, so that does kind of impact this live album, I feel, and like I said, it's just kind of there in the Iron Maiden live catalog. It's not bad, but it's not great either. It doesn't really stand out amongst any of the other live albums here, and hardly an album I reach for when I'm in the mood to hear an Iron Maiden live record, but, it's okay, not bad, just kind of there. Everything on this list here from here on out ranges from good to great. So that being said, coming in at number 9 here on the list, I'm going to go with Knights of the Dead from Mexico City off the Legacy of the Beast tour, recorded in 2019 and released in 2020. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because I saw them twice on this tour, but I really love Legacy of the Beast tour, and I think the track listing was really cool. In particular, there's a number of tracks here that I was really happy to see them performing live for the first time in a while. Tracks like For the Greater Good of God off my all-time favorite Iron Maiden album, A Matter of Life and Death. Awesome to hear some representation from that record. Also, Flight of Icarus from Peace of Mind, a song that they had not touched in a number of years. Finally performing it live again, and that was really fun to hear live, especially with Bruce holding up the flamethrower. That was really cool. And then you had Hallowed Be Thy Name, which they had not played on the Book of Souls tour when I saw them live for the first time due to legal reasons. So to finally hear them performing Hallowed Be Thy Name live was just awesome. The greatest metal song ever written, in my opinion, and it's even better live. So really cool stuff there. And all in all, this is a super enjoyable live album. It's really fun. I think Maiden fired on all cylinders here on the Legacy of the Beast tour. And that tour, I believe, is still going on. Not currently right now, but There are some future dates announced for Legacy of the Beast shows, I believe later this year, so that's pretty cool. And all in all, Legacy of the Beast, pretty cool stuff, and this live album is pretty awesome, man. My number 9 on the list, I'm going to go with Knights of the Dead from Mexico City off the Legacy of the Beast tour, recorded in 2019 and released in 2020. For number 8 on the list, I'm going to go with Death on the Road from 2005, recorded in Dortmund, Germany on the Dance of Death tour. And what makes this live album really cool, in my opinion, is you get to hear a number of tracks from Dance of Death that you would never hear live again. You know, tracks like Wildest Dreams and Rainmaker, you know, Passchendaele. Dance of Death, they would play again a little bit later on, but nevertheless, a really cool live track. But in particular, Passchendaele, an incredible live track. You know, super heavy stuff, an absolute masterpiece by Adrian Smith, and you would think that that would be a live staple for Iron Maiden for years to come, but for some reason, unfortunately, they would only play it live on this tour. But nevertheless, really cool that it was documented with this great live album here, Death on the Road, and this is a live album that I really enjoy. It's 2 discs here, and I think my favorite part about it is the fact that it's a very solid mix of classic material and new stuff performed live for the first time, so that's really enjoyable. All in all, a very strong live album here from 2005, recorded in Dortmund, Germany on the Dance of Death tour. I'm going to go with Death on the Road coming in at number 8. My pick for number 7 on the list is the only Iron Maiden live album that I do not have here today, and that is En Vivo, released in 2012 on the Final Frontier tour. And similarly to Death on the Road, this live album is really cool because we get to hear some live tracks from Final Frontier, tracks that we would never hear performed live again. Stuff like the title track and El Dorado, you know, The Talisman, When the Wild Wind Blows, Coming Home. Really cool tracks that they would not perform live again following the Final Frontier tour, I believe. So really cool stuff, and another really enjoyable live album here. Maiden live are always fantastic, and I think Maiden at the top of their game here, motivated and powerful, aggressive, always sounds really, really cool, and another great live album that is a fantastic example of that. So coming in at number 7, I'm going to go with En Vivo off the Final Frontier tour, released in 2012. From 2017, my pick for number 6 on the list is the Book of Souls live chapter here, and I might be a little bit biased to this tour because it was the first time that I ever saw Iron Maiden live was on this tour. I saw them on the last night of the North American tour, and it was incredible. We can all remember the first time we saw Iron Maiden and what a great feeling it was, and this was the tour that really solidified my Iron Maiden fandom, made them my all-time favorite band, and seeing them live is an absolute must when getting into Maiden. And the Book of Souls material on here, I think, translated really, really well to a live setting. You know, stuff on here like If Eternity Should Fail and Speed of Light, Death or Glory, The Red and the Black. I mean, I particularly remember on The Red and the Black just Maiden going on and on and on. I didn't want them to stop. They just kept going and going on The Red and the Black, and it was incredible. You know, material like The Great Unknown and the title track to the Book of Souls, fantastic live as well. The track listing here is really great. You can see the guys on the back. What an incredible tour, and, you know, for me, I might be a little bit biased because it was the first tour that I saw them on, but the Book of Souls live tour will always have a special place in my heart. So that being said, coming in at number 6, from 2017, I'm going to go with the Book of Souls live chapter. We move on now into the top 5, and coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with Beast over Hammersmith from 1982, recorded during the Beast on the Road World Tour in support of Number of the Beast. And this live album is a great example of prime Iron Maiden and the unmatched energy and aggression that they had during a live setting here from this era, how Iron Maiden's live set was just super infectious, and the energy that they gave off, just really powerful stuff there from prime Iron Maiden. And this live album is great with fantastic vocals throughout by Bruce Dickinson. You know, Bruce Dickinson also in his prime here and sounded absolutely amazing. You know, you got some great material here from Number of the Beast, such as Children of the Damned, Run to the Hills, Number of the Beast, the title track, great stuff. The Prisoner, 22 Acacia Avenue, and of course, Hallowed Be Thy Name. And this live album does feature one of the greatest versions of Hallowed Be Thy Name that's out there. Just incredible, incredible stuff. A great rendition of Hallowed Be Thy Name here with awesome vocals by Dickinson. And also, you have some really cool material here from the Paul Di'Anno era of Maiden as well. Some great stuff with Dickinson on vocals here, like Murders in the Rue Morgue to kick things off. Wrathchild, obviously, a fantastic track with Dickinson on vocals. You've got Sanctuary, Iron Maiden, Drifter, Running Free, Prowler as well. Just incredible stuff from top to bottom here on this 2-disc live album. Gotta crack the top 5 here, so coming in at number 5, I'm gonna go with Beast over Hammersmith from the Beast on the Road tour, recorded in 1982. Number 4 on the list is going to be Flight 666, the soundtrack to the movie/documentary of the same name, recorded in 2008 during the Somewhere Back in Time tour. And this live album is fantastic. One of the things I like the most about it is that it has a great mix of classic material from a number of great 80s albums. Amazing material on here, like Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Revelations, The Trooper, Wasted Years, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Just what a great rendition of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. One of my all-time favorite versions of that song on this live album right here. Also, you got Power Slave, Heaven Can Wait, Run to the Hills, Moonchild, great version of Moonchild, one of my all-time favorite album openers. from Seventh Son, and Hallowed Be Thy Name to close things out. Just an incredible live album from beginning to end with a great mix of material from a number of amazing Iron Maiden 80s albums here. So for that reason, coming in at number 4, I'm going to go with the super fun live album here, the great soundtrack to a really interesting documentary in Flight 666. We kick off the top 3 with Made in England from 1988 from the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son World Tour, and Seventh Son is one of my all-time favorite Iron Maiden albums. It's actually one of my all-time favorite albums, period. So really cool live album here, touring that album, and you got some incredible material like Moonchild, which I was just talking about being a great album opener. It also works really well to kick off the live set. Great stuff there. Evil Let Men Do was awesome. The Prisoner from Number of the Beast, pretty cool there. Still Life, really cool deep cut for Peace of Mind. So Is Die With Your Boots On. Infinite Dreams has a great Bruce Dickinson vocal performance. You know, so does Killers, which really cool to see Bruce Dickinson performing something from the Di'Anno era. And Bruce Dickinson always did a great service to the Di'Anno era material, while also totally making it his own at the same time. Let's see what else is on here. Heaven Can Wait. You know, The Clairvoyant. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is an incredible song in a live setting. Let's see here. Number of the Beast, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills. You know, your classics definitely have to be there. Running Free, and then Sanctuary to close things out. Just an incredible live album from beginning to end. Touring an amazing album in Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. One of my all-time favorite Maiden live albums here. Made in England, recorded in 1988. Has to crack the top 3 here. So coming in at number 3, I'm gonna go with Made in England. My 1 and 2 were really close together because I love those albums both so much. But that being said, coming in at number 2 here, I'm gonna go with Rock in Rio from 2002. Recorded in 2001 in support of Brave New World at Rock in Rio, and the Rio crowd was just so hot for the reunion here with Dickinson and Adrian Smith returning to Iron Maiden, and the crowd was just on fire for the entire show. This is, in my opinion, one of the greatest Iron Maiden concerts ever, and with material on here, it's hard to disagree with material on here like The Wicker Man and The Ghost of the Navigator, Wrathchild, Brave New World, 2 Minutes to Midnight, you know, The Klansman, Sign of the Cross, 2 great Blaze Bayley tracks that Bruce Dickinson just totally makes his own here. You got awesome Brave New World deep cuts like The Mercenary and Dream of Mirrors, you know. Great classics like The Evil That Men Do and Fear of the Dark, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, Sanctuary, Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's just, it's an absolute quintessential Iron Maiden stylist in my opinion, and one of their best, like I said. So coming in at a very close second, I gotta go with Rock in Rio from 2001, or I should say recorded in 2001, but released in 2002, supporting Brave New World, Rock in Rio here. Just an incredible, incredible show. And finally, coming in at number 1, my all-time favorite Iron Maiden live album, and one of the greatest live albums ever recorded. In my opinion, the best live album ever. I gotta go with Live After Death from the Power Slave Tour, and if you had to see Iron Maiden during the Power Slave Tour, that was like their prime, you know, that is the holy grail tour for me. If you had to see them live during that tour, that is just so awesome. You had to see Maiden during their prime. The band sounded super tight. You know, Bruce Dickinson sounded amazing on vocals. Material being played on this tour from Power Slave, so that would become live staples in the future, was being performed live for the first time ever. Stuff like Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, Power Slave, the title track itself, being performed live for the first time ever on that tour. But, I mean, that's just incredible to me. That's so cool, and if you get to see them live during this tour, that is really, really awesome, and I envy you. But also material on this album outside of the Power Slave stuff, like Revelations and Flight of Icarus, you know, Run to the Hills, Running Free, Phantom of the Opera. Just an awesome, awesome selection of tracks here from Prime Iron Maiden, and doesn't get much better than this. The all-time best live album, in my opinion, coming in at number 1 on my list. Definitely the greatest Iron Maiden live album. I gotta go with Live After Death from the Power Slave Tour. Just an iconic, iconic live album. So that concludes my ranking of Iron Maiden live albums from worst to best, which should be visible right over here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel down below. Turn on the bell for notifications to be notified of a new upload. And let me know down in the comments below, did you agree with my list? Did you disagree with my list? Let me know your opinions down in the comments. I'll be very interested in hearing what you guys have to say. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.